Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning to you, good morning to you. I won't go through the rest of that, I promise. Anyway, good morning and welcome to the Morning Report. My name is Willie Lawson. The Morning Report is a production of fightbackmedia.com, fightbackmedia.com, fightbackmedia.com. Please go to the website. It hasn't had much activity lately, but you know what? If it's your first time going, everything's going to be new to you. It's like getting a car. May not be a new car, but it's new to you. So you want to go ahead and go to the Fightback Media website. You want to go ahead and scroll down. Let us get your name and your email address so we can let you know when we update the website and when we have special stuff going on. Because from time to time we have special stuff going on. The special stuff going on in the very near future is our 300th, the TH after that, episode that is set to air on April 2nd. You know, and it was cool that I did this and talked to Paul Swanson on the SwansonReport.net, SwansonReport.net. And he said, yeah, it's good to do it on the 2nd. That way people won't think that it's an April Fool's thing on the 1st. 300 episodes. You know, it's one of those things that I'm proud of because I think that staying power in this space is the most important thing. So many people decide that they're going to get upset and do a podcast. And then they do 10 or 15 and they get a couple of guests and they're all full of piss and vinegar until they realize that, golly, that's a lot of work. God, every day? So they usually start with one day a week. I had a podcast, before we get started here, I had a podcast, a consulting business for just a tidge of time. And I was sitting down with some clients and they asked me, well, how often should we do a podcast? And I said to them, without blinking an eye, every day. They were like, oh, we can't do one every day. Yes, you can. If you're going to be relevant, if you're going to stay relevant, or if you're going to get attention, you got to do it every day. Every day. And I tried to convince them that they need to do it every day. I tried to put them in a direction and put them in a program by which they could, on their own, do it every day, because it wasn't a situation where somebody could come and record them every day. No. They had to take the time out to do it every day. And they were at the time, and it's fine. They were at the time more concerned with doing business than doing a podcast. Making the business happen, because that was a very time-consuming thing, which means you have to do the podcast at 11 o'clock at night, or you have to do it at 3 o'clock in the morning, or whenever you are awake. which is really, you know what, you podcasters out there, you guys know that being awake isn't a requirement. It's not really a requirement. It's not something that that should stop you because you're tired or you're sleepy or it's been a rough day. If you got to do it, you got to do it. You got to put it in a can and get it out there. That's all there is to it. That's all there is to it. So 300 episodes through all that we've been through, even through a global pandemic, we're able to get these 300 episodes on. So we're very, very excited about that. 300 episodes on February 2nd. There you are. And in that still stuff like extra stuff for Fightback 2020 and Fightback 2021. Extra videos on YouTube. Hey, welcome to YouTube. If you are listening to this on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, click that notification bell, so you know when we are getting we're putting up another show. And well, maybe you don't want to hit the notification bell because you're going to find out that we're going to do one of these 5 days a week, consistently. So maybe you don't want that level of notification, but you should. So you can see that we're here a lot. We're here all the time. We are a constant drumbeat I know you were in headphones and you wish I hadn't done that. I'm sorry. Kinda. But in any case, I digress. That we're here. And my ride or die has been Paul Swanson and of the SwansonReport.net. Go to the SwansonReport.net and check us out. Go to fightbackmedia.com and check us out. And those links are in the description box in the YouTube video. They are in the description box. So all you have to do is scroll down there, right-click it, and then go to that while you listen to me. All right. We're going to get started. We got some stories today. Nothing, I mean, this just doesn't stop. Nothing freaking stops. Alrighty. And today, if I get time, I'm going to give you our thoughts on the events of January 6th. Finally, I've not been able to do that in any sort of organized fashion. So I wrote an article last night, late, I don't know, 2 o'clock. I don't know. It was early this morning, which means I had to get up this morning and I had to go back and look at it and edit it, put in letters, change words, add words, take out and replace it with and her, that kind of stuff. So I'm gonna have to go back through it again, but I'm going to share that with you. I'm going to share that with you this morning if we have time. If not, we're going to save it for tomorrow when we will have time. All right, we'll be back right after these messages. Thank you for coming to the Morning Report. Again, a production of fightbackmedia.com, fightbackmedia.com, fightbackmedia.com. If you are a true blue conservative, small businesses are near and dear to your heart. They are the lifeblood of our life and economy. I believe this, and that's why my florist is not a website or phone number. My florist is Blooming Days Flower Shop, Tampa's premier flower shop. At 11618 North Florida Avenue here in Tampa, Florida, and at 6835 State Road 54 in Newport Richey. Call Christine at 813-933-1942 and at 727-232-6900. She can also be reached on the web at www.bloomingdays.com. We are in tumultuous times here on the internet. Many platforms are finally taking this opportunity to rid themselves of conservative voices. A lot of you are learning how this internet game is played and are wondering if there is a place for you online. Well, yes, there is. freedomforum.website is providing a place for everyone to be, including conservatives. freedomforum.website is dedicated to the First Amendment and free speech for everyone. Join us there and speak your mind. One of the things that I get asked most is where can I get information that is not tainted with liberal bias, especially here in the Tampa Bay area. Well, now I have the answer. tbctampa.com, a website by and for Tampa area conservatives. Tampa's leading conservative voices speak freely at tbctampa.com, and you can too. So join the fun and enjoy the freedom at tbctampa.com.
A conservative who seeks truth over the conventional statist wisdom, coming to you from the southern headquarters of fightbackmedia.com, your host, Willie Lawson.
Alrighty. Not sure what that is. Got some, there you go. Got some, hadn't heard that. Got some low, not sure what the heck that is. Alrighty, well, we got rid of that. Holding the microphone, it's off the table. I'm not sure my table is buzzing. In any case, welcome back to the Morning Report. My name is Willie Lawson, and the Morning Report is a production of fightbackmedia.com, fightbackmedia.com. Let's get going with the stories today. Let's see here. We're going to start with where we left off yesterday, the shooting in Colorado at the grocery store. The narrative that the left was pushing was that this was a white dude. That's why he wasn't killed. We knew that he was white because he was apprehended. Because and I guess the assumption is that if the police would have gotten a chance to kill somebody if they were black, they would have just killed him right then. Even if he was a suspect, or they knew that he had murdered 10 people. It wouldn't have mattered. See, and that's the crazy part. It wouldn't have mattered. But we're not going to get on that part of the discussion. This is another FBI failure. Or is it? Now some of you are going to have the conversation that this is a red flag event or an event that was allowed to happen. And I understand that. So Ahmad Alawi Isa, and I'm just slaughtering that name, but who cares because he's a dirtbag anyway. This is an article from our friends at Town Hall by Katie Pavlich. Thank you, Katie. She writes, here we go again. A man arrested for killing 10 people at a grocery store in Colorado Monday night was on the FBI's radar and had ties to another individual agents were investigating. This dude was on the FBI's radar. They knew about him. The suspect's identity was previously known to the FBI because he was linked to another individual under investigation by the Bureau, according to law enforcement officials. The New York Times reports court records show that he was born in Syria in 1999, as did a Facebook page that appeared to belong to the suspect, giving his name. This dude was able to legally purchase a firearm and pass a background check 6 days before his rampage. You're okay. A couple of things. I have a couple of things in my brain right away. The first thing is that your background checks that you want to make mandatory and you want to strengthen suck. Whatever the mechanism in your background check, they suck. They suck, apparently, because this dude was on the FBI's radar, and your background check didn't pick that up. It's a failure in your system and background check. It's a failure of the FBI. Failure. Now, the FBI, I know that a lot of us have an affection and a respect for law enforcement, but I only have an affection and a support of law enforcement that is open, honest, and effective. The FBI right now is full of failure. Full of failure. They failed on January 6th, and they failed Monday. This was their failure. Robert Barnes tweets, how many times has this happened? Is it because FBI Director Wray is too busy chasing down grandmas who wandered around the Capitol? This suspect's identity was previously known to the FBI. He was linked to another individual. So what is the FBI's focus? What the hell are they doing? As noted yesterday, on this dude's Facebook page before it was taken down, it was full of posts about Islamophobia and the heavily criticized President Trump's policies to combat terrorism. The FBI is still claiming a motive is unknown. Now, the dude was from Syria. Did we not just bomb Syria? Andy No tweets, the Boulder, Colorado mass shooting suspect who was accused of killing 10 people is an immigrant from Syria. His online post so that he was a deeply religious Muslim. John Cardillo tweets, so Syrian radical Muslim killed 10 people at your one-stop shop for kosher groceries. And we're supposed to believe that this wasn't terror and run with a depressed guy angle. So this Syrian goes into this store that is a store that caters to people who like kosher food, Jewish people, and kills 10 people. And we're supposed to go with, well, he was crazy, and we're supposed to just deflect to, we need to get AR-15s off the street. Are you serious? See, and this level of reporting is not going to be done by mainstream media. It's only going to happen in places like this. You know, people ask all the time, you know, you don't really have a big following. Do you think what you're doing is important? I think what we're doing here is vital. Not just important, it's vital. Absolutely, positively vital. There you go. And if we don't do it now, then it won't get done. Because I can guarantee you that the thing that I just told you, you will not see on CNN. This was a radicalized Syrian going into what amounts to be a Jewish grocery store and killing 10 people. That's what this is. This is not a time for a mandatory buyback of AR-15s. It is not. This is a terrorist attack for sure. Hardly domestic. I mean, in the beginning, we had a lot of these blue checkers on Twitter talking about this was another white guy gone crazy. Another white dude gone crazy. Shooting his guns. What? No. Today is Wednesday, and just 2 days later, less than 48 hours later, we're finding out, holy crap, this is something entirely different. And the mainstream media is not going to move from their original narrative because their original narrative supports their agenda. The truth does not support their agenda. When the truth doesn't support your agenda, then you're out of it. You are out of it. You're no longer relevant. When the truth does not support your agenda. So there we go. Another FBI failure. And that's just too bad. And I know, a lot of us and, in our jobs, we can fail a couple of times and nobody gets hurt. Definitely nobody gets killed. And these folks can't. I understand. One failure is a nightmare. One failure is a nightmare. But I believe we believe that FBI's focus is on the wrong thing, which is why they fail. And it's certainly easy, and I know some of you are going to criticize me, it's certainly easy to sit here in the cheap seats and be an armchair quarterback, Monday morning quarterback, and spout what I'd have done differently, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, it is. It most certainly is. But someone's got to look at these organizations, and we got to start looking at these organizations critically and saying there are real problems here. There are real problems. And they have to be corrected. Now, whether it's inside the organization somewhere, or if it's at the top in its focus, there are real problems, and they have to be corrected. So this idea that the media and Democrat politicians can cover for the FBI by creating a narrative that distracts us from what the real problems are is troublesome. is troublesome, at the very least. So we're going to have to do some. We're going to have to stay focused, and we're going to have to stay focused on the reality of what we're dealing with. Yes, and we're going to have to fight a multi-front war on the Second Amendment and all these other things all at the same time. One of the things that bugs me the most about people and bugs me the most about conservatives and Republicans especially is we act like we can only do one thing at a time. And leading into that is, you remember a couple days ago I talked about immigration? Let's see if I can put this microphone back on the table in that horrible low. All right, seems to be gone. Anyway, talking about the border, and I'm talking about Republicans really taking control over immigration. I think I know what it is. Hang on. I do. And I can fix it. There we go. I think that's it. I have my external hard drive that, I don't know, whirs up occasionally. In any case, we were talking about immigration, and that what Republicans should have done way back in 2011 was take charge of that conversation, not be afraid of it, instead of cowering in a corner just saying no, 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 to lead that discussion, especially when the parameters were, when we were talking about DACA and we're talking about, quote, the Dreamers, we hadn't gotten it down to, the Obama administration had gotten it down to about 800,000 people. 800,000 people is a manageable amount of people. It just is. Let's just be realistic. It's a manageable number of folks. We should have taken the lead in the conversation then. But we didn't. We became reactionary instead of proactionary, and now we're here where we are now. So right now, the number of unaccompanied minors that were detained at the border in the first 20 days of March exceeds all of February. It's not getting better. It's getting worse. And this narrative out here in mainstream media that says, what about the 4-year-olds? There aren't any 4-year-olds. Statistically, there aren't any 4-year-olds. Most of the people who are crossing the border as unaccompanied minors are between the ages of 14 and 17. And most of them male. As expected, it's getting worse. Axios reported weeks ago that border officials were projecting more than 13,000 unaccompanied minors would flood into the United States. Recall, the border is closed, according to Alejandro Mayorkas is his name, who is the head of HHS, I guess. The border is closed. And they're sending announcements and cartoons and all sorts of stuff into Mexico saying that our border is closed. But the border officials were projecting as many as 13,000 unaccompanied minors would flood into the United States. The head of HHS, within the month of May, it looks like the crisis is running well ahead of schedule, as more than 11,000 legal immigrants' children were detained by Border Patrol in the first 3 weeks of March alone, easily exceeding the total from the entirety of February. The Border Patrol has detained more than 11,000 unaccompanied migrant children between February 28th and March 20th, according to preliminary government data reviewed by CNN of all sources, already eclipsing the number of minors apprehended in the full month of February. In recent weeks, the number of encounters of children crossing the U.S.-Mexico border alone has continued to climb, overwhelming the government's resources that had already been under strain because of the coronavirus pandemic. And all of February, Border Patrol apprehended nearly 9,300 unaccompanied minors at the U.S. southern border, up from 5,600 in January. Quite the trajectory. The number was less than 800 last April. Compare and contrast. Last April, it was less than 800. This month, we're north of 11,000. And this time I've got t-shirts. We made the walk, and we got this t-shirt. Biden, please let us in. If anybody thinks for a second that any of this stuff isn't orchestrated, you are out of your mind. You're insane. Or you're such a sycophant. You're so full of hero worship, or you're so full of Trump hate, you can't see this problem. The number of detentions are likely to surpass, according to the preliminary data, the high during May of 2019, when around 11,400 unaccompanied minors were arrested at the U.S.-Mexico border. While the growing number of children is pressing challenge for administration, kids crossing the border alone still make up the minority of encounters. Holy crap. The preliminary data reveals between February 28th and March 20th, Border Patrol apprehended more than, are you sitting down for this number? 60,000 single adults. 60,000. And more than 32,000 families, according to data. It's virtually a lock that March 2021 will blow the previous high. During the teeth of the Trump-era crisis, out of the water, with the curve still pointing in the wrong direction. It's almost as if top U.S. government officials explicitly stating that the government will welcome and care for unaccompanied illegal immigrant children is influencing people's decisions and actions. Mayorkas asserts that these things are entirely unconnected, of course, and and that are in fact Donald Trump's fault. Now, Donald Trump's fault. What they're saying is that, and in the press conference, Mayorkas is saying that they inherited a completely broken system and there wasn't really anything in place. Now they have to replace with something else. Now let's look back at the numbers. Last April, less than 800 unaccompanied minors. Less than 800. So that seems to be solving the problem. What you don't want, what nobody wants, and if you want this, come at me. WLS860@gmail.com or fightbackmedia@gmail.com. Come at me. Or comment in the comment section here on YouTube. Come at me. Tell me why unaccompanied minors, unaccompanied kids coming across the U.S.-Mexico border is a good idea and something that you want. Something that you want to happen. Why is that good? When we have 11,000 this month, and April 2020, we had less than 800. So which number is a better number? Which system works and which system doesn't work? Seems like the thing that we're doing last year seems that's what was working. If indeed fewer unaccompanied minors is the better of the two ideas. Seems like that's the better thing, right? Yeah. All right, that's where we are in that. Okay, one more quick story, and then we're going to take a break, and then we'll come back, and I'll give you my thoughts on what happened on January 6th. Joni Ernst. We love Joni Ernst. says that Pelosi's power grab in Iowa congressional election foreshadows the dangers of H.R. 1. H.R. 1 is this really this all-inclusive liberal wish list of control without consent. So during the Senate Republicans' weekly press conference on Tuesday afternoon, Senator Joni Ernst, Republican from Iowa, foreshadowed one legislative danger that would become a reality if Democrats' massive electoral power grab, H.R. 1, were to be signed into law. Ernst joined fellow Republicans in warning against the federal takeover of elections that is present within H.R. 1, a move that Democrats hope to pass, arguing against the election overhaul that would immediately erase state and local jurisdiction over elections. Did you hear what I said? Did you hear what I said? That's why it's important. Right now, the number of people in the House, the number of Republicans in the House is not helpful. It's just not helpful. Right now, we have to concentrate on our senators. Those are the people who have to hold the line, period. Even if you have a Democrat senator who's probably going to bend, who's probably just going to roll over because they don't want to be outside what the party is trying to do because they're trying to get reelected, or they're just communists. I'm telling you, this is super important. Democrat candidate Rita Hart lost to Congresswoman Marionette Miller Meeks, the Republican in Iowa, by a slim margin that was recounted multiple times and certified by a bipartisan panel of state elected officials. In spite of this, Hart sidestepped the judicial system and instead asked House Speaker Nancy Pelosi to overturn the Miller Meeks victory. Basically, taking away the rights of voters and the people within those states is exactly what we're experiencing in Iowa today. We have Congresswoman Marionette Miller Meeks, who was seated. She was duly elected and seated in Iowa's 2nd Congressional District, Ernst said. Rita Hart chose not to do what the Iowa Code calls for and go through the Iowa courts to appeal the decision of the bipartisan board. Instead, went straight to Nancy Pelosi, Mama Pelosi, and appealed to Democrats in a political process. The Iowa Republican added that the current attempt by Democrats to unseat Miller Meeks affirms the importance of keeping elections under the individual state's jurisdiction. We need to keep this process where it belongs, at the state level. It needs to be at the local level. We do not need to federalize our election system, Ernst concluded. The House Administration Committee is currently reviewing the already certified results for Miller Meeks' victory, and H.R. 1 is likely to move forward in the upper chamber. No, it's not going to. Talk to your senators. Threaten them with primary. Threaten them with lack of funds. Threaten them politically. Make them move. H.R. 1 cannot go forward. Period. We'll take a little break and we'll be back and I'll talk a little bit about January 6th, and I'll give you that link to the article in the description box if you're listening to this on YouTube. We'll be back right after these messages. If you are a true blue conservative, small businesses are near and dear to your heart. They are the lifeblood of our life and economy. I believe this, and that's why my florist is not a website or phone number. My florist is Blooming Days Flower Shop, Tampa's premier flower shop. At 11618 North Florida Avenue here in Tampa, Florida, and at 6835 State Road 54 in Newport Richey. Call Christine at 813-933-1942 and at 727-232-6000. 6900. She can also be reached on the web at www.bloomingdays.com. One of the things that I get asked most is where can I get information that is not tainted with liberal bias, especially here in the Tampa Bay area. Well, now I have the answer. tbctampa.com, a website by and for Tampa area conservatives. Tampa's leading conservative voices speak freely at tbctampa.com, and you can too. So join the fun and enjoy the freedom at tbctampa.com.
A conservative who seeks truth over the conventional statist wisdom, coming to you from the southern headquarters of fightbackmedia.com, your host, Willie Lawson.
Thank you, Paul. Appreciate you, bro. This is an article that I wrote last night or earlier this morning, and I had to go back and correct right before I started the show because there were some typos, made me look like an idiot, but I fixed them. Not before I shared it, though. It's awful. Anyway, this article is called For Public Consumption. I've waited to share thoughts about the events of January 6th in Washington, D.C. I am of the mind that this was psyop on the American people. Normally, I'm not the big conspiracy person, but this is different. The left did not just want to get rid of Donald Trump. They wanted to create a scorched earth scenario. The left had been saying for weeks that it was not enough to beat Donald Trump in an election. It was vital to destroy his supporters too. The left's goal was to break the back of those that supported President Trump. Government law officials knew for weeks of plans of anti-government groups to attack the Capitol and did nothing. Trump asked Nancy Pelosi to order up 10,000 National Guard. That request was denied. Protest marches are nothing new to D.C., and the combination of Metro Police and federal law enforcement are well skilled, even with much larger crowds, which is at least suspicious that an unarmed ragtag group of miscreants could breach one of the most secure buildings in the nation. And you see the dude with the horns, right? And the tattoos holding the American flag with a bullhorn? And there's a picture of the little guy, literally the little guy next to him holding a Trump is my president flag. These West Coast incels, really? What American adult believes that those in this picture had an opportunity to bring down our republic? I know that Nancy Pelosi and her ilk are still refer to this mess as an armed insurrection. But the FBI testified before Congress that there were no weapons confiscated and no shots fired other than the one that killed Ashley Babbitt, which we still have to talk about, don't we? So that would trash the armed insurrection narrative, I guess. So what happened at the Capitol on January 6th was allowed to happen. It was for public consumption. It was a way to besmirch those that are supporters of Donald Trump. It gave the go-ahead for social media giants to shut down conservatives because their speech could spawn more violence. It gave Democrats an opening to erect the razor wire fence around the Capitol to remind of the, quote, danger, end quote, of Trump and his supporters. This is just theater for public consumption. What do you think? Comment below if you're listening on YouTube. Send me an email at fightbackmedia@gmail.com, fightbackmedia@gmail.com. Love to hear from you. All right, we got to get out of here and make room for somebody else. and I got to go take a walk. So in any case, go out there and learn something, love somebody, and for goodness sakes, y'all take care of yourself. We will see you when we see you.
We appreciate the time you took today to listen to the broadcast. Please check the links below on how to further interact with the fightbackmedia.com network. Please remember to like and share this broadcast with your like-minded friends and family. Also, we'd appreciate your subscription to the broadcast, and make sure to hit the notification bell so you're notified when we upload new content.